December 10th, 2025. 50 Cent reveals is sitting on 140 hours of unused footage from the Diddy documentary. Material Netflix deemed too explosive. Then leaked clips surfaced showing what got banned, and it's absolutely devastating. Now 50 is threatening to drop it all on YouTube. Here's the footage they didn't want you to see. December 10th, 2025. 50 Cent sitting on Sherri Shepherd's couch, fresh off beating Stranger Things on Netflix worldwide. The congratulations rolling in. Sherri asking about season 2. Then 50 drops it, or I'll just put it on YouTube. That smirk saying is dead serious.
I want to congratulate you on your docuseries, Sean Combs, The Reckoning. It's #1 on Netflix. Yeah. Like, it's been #1 on Netflix. Did you actually expect it to be as big as it got?
I expected it to be bigger. It's actually exceeding my expectations now.
I want to congratulate you on your docu-series, Sean Combs, The Reckoning. It's #1 on Netflix. Like it's been #1 on Netflix. Did you actually expect it to be as big as it got? I expected it to be bigger. It's actually exceeding my expectations now. 4 episodes. That's what Netflix allowed. But the documentary team sat on something else entirely. A mountain of footage that never made the cut. Material powerful enough to stand on its own without corporate gatekeepers deciding what the public gets to see. Everything couldn't make it. 50 explained on Sherri's show. It was only 4 episodes, so it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things. The editing room floor became a gold mine. 140 hours of raw footage, according to 50's own Instagram confirmation.
So here in the case, we'd like to take a little bit more time and focus on some of the things that the jurors saw and heard. So we want to talk about the evidence of Kid Cudi's car. Leather lined with gasoline, luxury, cayenne-colored seats coated black with ash.
When a fan videoed their eyes about unreleased material, 50 responded directly. Correct 140 hours of footage, not there was 140 hours. Present tense. There's 140 hours, meaning it still exists, meaning someone, probably 50, still has it. I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing. I don't understand why he filmed himself. 50 said about Diddy's self-documentation, but I'm glad he filmed himself. The implications hit different. Material this explosive doesn't need Netflix approval.
Consider a pre-existing beef, right? For 20 years, right? It's me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester.
Doesn't need careful editing or legal department sign-offs. YouTube becomes the escape hatch. Direct to public. No filters, just raw truth. The people supporting him will be very quiet when more comes out. 50 warned. One example surfaced during the Sherri interview, something that didn't fit Netflix's narrative structure. He chooses to date people whom he knows previously dated someone. 50 revealed he is a baby by a woman who was dating Tupac. The revelation hung there. Sarah Chapman, mother of Chance Combs, born in 2006. Previously involved with Tupac back in 1995. A pattern 50 sees clearly now. The habit of targeting dead rivals' exes, making conquest personal even beyond the grave. But footage exists. Commentary sits in those 140 hours. Material that would have made this connection impossible to ignore. Netflix chose restraint. YouTube won't require it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt?
Kim Porter's death in 2018, completely absent from Netflix's final cut, the mother of 3 of Diddy's children, her passing at 47, the conspiracy theories that followed. The documentary avoided it entirely. Too sensitive, too controversial, her children publicly rejecting theories about their mother. Netflix respected family wishes, but questions linger. Unanswered elements of a story half-told. 50 potentially holding answers in that vault of footage. The Kid Cudi firebombing allegation raised during the 2025 trial discussed heavily in media. The claim that Diddy ordered an attack on Cudi's Porsche after conflict involving Cassie. And so here in the case, we like to take a little bit more time and focus on some of the things that the jurors saw and heard. So we want to talk about the evidence of Kid Cudi's car. Leather lined with gasoline, luxury cayenne-colored seats coated black with ash. Trial testimony detailed the Molotov cocktail, the failed ignition, the forensic evidence. Yet Netflix minimizes storyline, lack of definitive proof, relying on witness accounts, legal liability concerns. So, this car was significant in many ways. David, because we saw it in the gallery, and then the jurors saw it because this is Kid Q's Porsche. It's the black one that was parked in his driveway in LA when he says that someone firebombed his vehicle. Let's go inside. But 50 might release those witness testimonies anyway. YouTube operating under different standards than streaming giants. The 50C beef itself. Nearly 20 years of public feuding. Yet the documentary mentioned it exactly 0 times. Not a single acknowledgement of their rivalry. Professional restraint from 50. Keeping focus on Diddy's alleged crimes rather than personal vendetta. What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right? Is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester would have undermined credibility, made it look like a hit piece. Netflix demanded objectivity, but YouTube, that platform, requires none. The personal history could provide crucial context for why 50 pursued this project so relentlessly. What they consider a pre-existing beef, right? 50 told interviewers, for 20 years, it's me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping. Went away. Car, I feel like I need to wash like I'm dirt. That was it. It showed you his character. Was that the reason for including it? Yeah. I mean, it is what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? The Tupac Murder Deep Dive documentary touched on it. Included Keith Diaz's confession, but didn't go as deep as possible. More footage about alleged Diddy involvement sits unused. Additional witness testimonies, money trail documentation, the full conspiracy waiting to be shown. Netflix chose careful presentation, avoiding liability, maintaining journalistic distance. But those 140 hours contain material too hot for corporate comfort. The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come into to ask questions like were their decisions colored by certain things and who got the benefit of the doubt. Time constraints on Netflix required choices. Editorial decisions about what advances a narrative versus what distracts. But YouTube removes those limitations. Can deep dive into each revelation without worrying about episode length or pacing. The White Party is completely unexplored. Those legendary gatherings from 1998 to 2009 attended by everyone from Justin Bieber to Leonardo DiCaprio. All white dress codes, stilt walkers, pool swings. Diddy's representatives claiming nothing inappropriate occurred there. But what does the footage show? I think it's important to also let people know that this show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details. You know, that the real goal was to store it tell. Cass's testimony during the 2025 trial, 4 days of emotional revelations about alleged abuse, coercion, recording without consent. The prosecution star witness detailing how she took drugs to dissociate during freak-offs. None of that made Netflix's cut. Too recent, too raw, too legally complex. But trial transcripts exist. Public record waiting to be discussed without censorship. YouTube providing platform for unfiltered examination of testimony that helped convict Diddy on transportation charges. The self-filmed footage Netflix did use came from Diddy's own videographer, Michael Obelis, who later claimed a third party leaked the material while he was away. The actions of the parties involved reflect the lack of integrity every storyteller should uphold. Obelis stated, "Listen to me. I'm gonna get off the phone right now and I'm going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what, nobody said. Let's just here or there. You are not working together the right way. We're losing." Diddy's team issued cease and desist letters, called the doc stolen footage never authorized for release, threatened billion-dollar lawsuits. Netflix stood firm, claiming everything was legally obtained. But that battle proves how explosive the material truly is. And it's just the beginning. The footage that made Netflix already changed everything. Diddy calling for someone who has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business to help with propaganda. Requesting hand sanitizer after hugging fans in Harlem. Private moments revealing public facade. No. Oh, look. If I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his babies. But 140 hours remain. Testimonies cut for time. Allegations deemed too sensitive. Connections requiring more context than 4 episodes allowed. The full story of Sarah Chapman and Tupac. The complete breakdown of Kid Cudi's car firebombing. Every detail Netflix lawyers deemed too risky. The people supporting him will be very quiet when more comes out. 50 warned. Not a threat, a promise. Because this goes beyond corporate streaming deals and carefully edited narratives. This becomes about direct access, raw truth, unfiltered reality. YouTube operates under different standards than streaming giants. No legal department requiring sign-offs. No corporate stakeholders worried about backlash. Just upload and let the public decide. December 10th, 2025 might mark when everything changes. When documentaries stop being limited by network constraints and start being conversations between creator and audience. When 140 hours of truth become accessible to anyone with internet connection. 50 Cent sitting on the nuclear option. The full story, unedited, unfiltered, unstoppable, ready to drop whenever Netflix's version proves insufficient, ready to answer every question left hanging. The vault exists, the footage is real, and somewhere between Instagram posts and talk show appearances, 50 Cent made clear his intentions. This story doesn't end with 4 episodes. It ends when every frame sees daylight, when every allegation gets examined, when 140 hours become public record. That smirk on Sherry's couch said everything. The man who spent 20 years warning people about Diddy now holds proof. Not speculation, not rumors. Raw footage of the moment that defined a predator. And soon everyone gets to see it. But Netflix only showed what they could because the stuff they left out was way too explosive. December 1st, 2025. The day before Netflix drops their documentary on Sean Combs, his lawyers fire off a cease and desist letter threatening immediate legal action. The footage in question, private moments filmed 6 days before his arrest, conversations with his attorney, strategy sessions never meant for public eyes. Netflix response, they're releasing it anyway. Sean Diddy Combs have now sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix. That's right. They are demanding it not release a docu-series featuring the embattled mogul. But here's where it gets interesting. That footage Diddy's team is calling stolen. They say it came from a documentary project Diddy himself started when he was just 19 years old. Decades of self-documentation, every major moment, every conversation, every decision. The man filmed everything. He wanted to control his own narrative, tell his own story, present his own version of events. The problem, he never finished it. And now Netflix has it. You want to put the stuff in my fanny packing? The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy. The spokesperson went public immediately. We have confirmed that Netflix used footage that was never authorized for release, including private moments, pre-indictment material from an unfinished project, and conversations involving legal strategy that were not intended for public viewing. What exactly constitutes these private moments? Diddy's team is so concerned about footage showing Diddy alone in his hotel room, personal phone calls with his children, moments of genuine vulnerability and fear, anxiety attacks caught on camera. The human side. He spent decades making sure the public never saw. One particularly revealing moment shows him in a vehicle after meeting fans. Oh, that hold your way. Hold your be with it. I'll accept it. I need some hand sanities. Hold on. I got the footage was shot September 10th, 2024, 6 days before federal agents would arrest him in Manhattan. The investigation was already underway. Diddy knew charges were coming. He was documenting everything, planning his defense strategy, collecting material for what he believed would be his version of events. And the legal strategy conversations, those hit different. Phone calls with his attorney Mark Agnafalo discussing how to manipulate media perception. I want to have a life to be able to live. You know, it's really going to be hard for me to take more hits than I take it if, God forbid, get in front of a jury and have a chance. Attorney-client privilege. That's the question Diddy's team is dancing around but not directly claiming. Because here's the thing. If a third party filmed it and that third party owns the footage, privilege becomes complicated. I've listened. I've been a superb client, as you said. I jumped on the plane. I'm coming to New York, but I'm just running around waiting for a shooter to drop. Diddy's team argues this was an unfinished project. Material collected since age 19, intended for a documentary about his life that he would control completely. The project was never completed before his arrest, which creates a legal gray area Netflix is now exploiting. Cause you may just be a person that just does you just may watch CNN. So you at the wrong place looking to see what the people with the possible jurors are thinking. The key phrase in their statement, no rights were ever transferred to Netflix. According to Diddy's lawyers, the footage was created for an entirely different purpose under an arrangement that was never completed. But here's where it gets messy. The freelancer who filmed some of this material had physical possession. And if Diddy never paid him, that changes everything. And since you didn't watch it, bro, there's one piece. I watched some of it where, there's very intimate footage of Diddy with his lawyers, but in the documentary it also talks about how he hired a young person to film him. The cease and desist letter dropped December 1st, literally hours before the Netflix premiere. The language was aggressive. Mr. Combs has not hesitated to take legal action against media entities and others who violate his rights, and he will not hesitate to do so against Netflix. A clear threat, but Netflix didn't flinch. Spokesperson for Combs accused Netflix of using, quote, stolen footage that was never authorized for release in what they called a shameful hit piece. A statement from the docu-series director says a filmmaking team obtained the footage legally. Why did the letter fail? Because Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar corporation with teams of lawyers clearing every single frame, every still photo, every piece of footage. They don't release anything without bulletproof legal clearance. Earlier in 2024, Diddy already tried this playbook. He sued NBC Universal for $100 million over their documentary Diddy, the making of a bad boy that aired on Peacock. Defamation suit still ongoing. It established a pattern. Diddy sues when documentaries come out, but Netflix, they're different. Deeper pockets than NBC, better legal team, stronger evidence that they legally procured this footage. When you hire someone to film, but never pay them, never complete the contract, never secure the rights, that footage belongs to the person who shot it. So if Diddy never signed paperwork, he was like, no, I'm going to get you when I get you. Yeah, that's right. Now, Diddy never gave him $1. Now Diddy went to jail. He's holding all this footage. 50 goes, I like that footage. All right. How much, bud? Yeah. Diddy's team called it fundamentally unfair and illegal for Netflix to misappropriate that work, using his life's work against him. Decades of self-documentation meant to exonerate, now incriminating. But courts don't care about fairness. They care about who owns what. So, what did Diddy actually film? Everything. Every major life event since he was 19. Studio sessions, parties, business meetings, conversations with artists and executives, personal moments with partners, arguments, celebrations, and apparently crimes. The narcissism of documenting everything, believing he'd control the final version, never thinking it would destroy him instead. I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it. And 50 Cent, he confirms they had way more content than they could use. 4 episodes couldn't contain everything, which means there's more footage sitting somewhere waiting. Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the only was 4 episodes, right? So, it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things like even in the area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. Some wondered if Netflix held back certain material deliberately, topics too sensitive even for their legal team to touch. Well, that's why I wonder if certain things were left out because of Netflix not wanting drama. We were talking about this yesterday. Hebrew. How did he not include any of the stuffing and rumors about Kip Porter's death? December 2nd, Netflix released a documentary anyway. Diddy's team can threaten all they want. The footage is out there now. Millions have watched it. Michael Oberlus stepped forward December 10th, calling himself Sean Combs' documentarian. He'd been working on a project profiling the mogul for over 2 years. The footage everyone's fighting over. He didn't release it. Someone else did. The footage in question was not released by me or anyone authorized to handle Sean Combs' materials. Oberlus explained it was by a third party who covered for me for 3 days while I was out of state. 3 days. That's all it took for decades of self-documentation to slip through Diddy's fingers. But Oberlus added something else. This incident had nothing to do with any fee dispute or contract issue. So, if it wasn't about money, what was it? Oberlus called it unethical. Taking footage intended for one project to advance a narrative that wasn't his own. But legally, Netflix cleared it. Teams of lawyers reviewed every frame. The third party had possession. The transfer was legal. And now it's public record. Combs' team keeps threatening that lawsuit. The same threat they made against NBC Universal. The $100 million defamation suit still pending. The pattern established. Threaten everyone. Sue some. Win none. But this time is different because this footage isn't allegations. It's not accusations filtered through interviews. It's Diddy's own words, his own strategy, his own admission that he needed someone that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business to manipulate public perception. The man who filmed everything to control his legacy just gave the world the unedited version. Every private conversation with his attorney, every moment of desperation, every strategic discussion about managing media narratives, all of it captured by cameras he wanted there. Netflix released the documentary December 2nd. Millions watched the stolen footage playing on repeat. Diddy's own voice damning him in ways prosecutors never could. And no legal threat can change what's already been seen. The cease and desist letter mentioned Ted Sarandos by name referenced the legacy of Clarence event. Tried to make it personal as if invoking family connections would make Netflix blink. They didn't. Because when you're serving time in federal prison, when you're facing dozens of civil suits, when your release date just got pushed back, your leverage disappears, your threats ring hollow, and that documentary project you've been filming since age 19, the one meant to cement your legend, becomes a very evidence destroying it. The footage was created for an entirely different purpose under an arrangement that was never completed by someone who had physical possession when that arrangement fell apart, and now it belongs to the story he never wanted told. Diddy's lawyers can file all the motions they want. Netflix isn't taking it down. The footage stays public. The documentary remains streaming because in the end, the man who documented everything to control his narrative, he just proved he never controlled anything at all. And just when it seemed like the Netflix fallout was the end of it, something far bigger was already being lined up. December 11, 2025, 50 Cent's Netflix documentary drops worldwide, racking up 40 million views in 2 weeks. But here's what nobody saw coming. 50 is already sitting on 140 hours of unused footage, and is not taking it back to Netflix. Is going straight to YouTube. No corporate oversight, no content guidelines, no mercy. This isn't just round 2. This is a nuclear option. The Netflix documentary gave us a glimpse. 4 episodes, corporate lawyers reviewing every frame, standards and practices cutting anything too graphic. Time constraints forcing 50 to leave the most damaging material on the editing room floor. I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. He has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public. But YouTube, that's a completely different battlefield. No network notes, no censors telling him what he can and can't say, no corporate legal team sanitizing the message, just receipts, to protect, shareholders are answered to, standards to maintain. YouTube has none of those constraints when it comes to user-uploaded content. First, there's the access issue. Netflix requires a subscription. That's a pay-der wall between the content and millions of potential viewers. YouTube's free. Anyone with an internet connection anywhere in the world can watch immediately. Second, shareability. Netflix content stays locked inside their ecosystem. YouTube videos spread like wildfire across every social media platform. Clips get extracted, remixed, shared, and discussed everywhere from Twitter to TikTok. Third, and most importantly, 50 Cent controls everything. Release schedule, content decisions, editorial choices, All his. Netflix operates on their calendar. YouTube operates on whatever schedule 50 wants. He could drop the entire 140 hours tomorrow or piece it out strategically over months. The exclusive video also shows Combs in Harlem greeting fans. Music. I'm wet. I accept. I need some hand sanitizer. Hold up. I've been down the streets amongst the people. That moment in the Netflix doc where Diddy greets fans in Harlem, then immediately asks for hand sanitizer. That sanitizer compared to what 50 is promising for YouTube. I feel like I need to wash like I'm dirt that this shows you his character. Was that the reason for including it? Yeah. I mean it is what's the odd that you would do that in front of the camera? Gannett Film and Television would produce independently. No corporate partner to answer to. No distribution deal limiting what can be shown. This is 50 Cent operating completely autonomously with full creative control over material that could redefine how we view the entire Bad Boy era. The legal consequences. Is apparently prepared to face them. But here's the thing. Truth is a defense. If 50 is sitting on actual evidence, testimony from credible witnesses, documentation that prosecutors didn't use at trial, what exactly can Diddy's legal team do from inside a federal prison? The producer's been vocal about what got left out of Netflix. Material that will shut everybody up, he says. Revelations shocking even to people close to Diddy. Evidence making current supporters go very quiet. Serious allegations that were too graphic for a streaming platform trying to maintain mainstream appeal. Witness testimonies that prosecutors chose not to use, not because they weren't credible, but because they weren't needed for the specific charges at trial. What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right? It's me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester. 4 years. People wrote this off as beef. Two rappers with egos clashing in the public eye. But 50's always maintained this was bigger than personal grudges. This was about accountability. The Netflix documentary touched on Coup Diaz confession. It mentioned Eric Von Zip. It showed the money trail from Diddy to potential killers. Yeah, I can see how Pac felt like they had something to do with the setup. Man. But speaking of Puffy, right, how do you feel about the rumor that Puffy, he gave a guy named Eric Von Zip a check for $1 million to give a Keffi D to kill Tupac? What the documentary didn't show, the full extent of Zip's involvement, complete financial records, testimony from people who saw the check, heard the conversations, knew what was really happening behind the scenes. I mean, it's out up. It was a setup. It was a plot to murder my brother. I feeled up about it. I don't know that __, but I ain't got no love for none of them. You know, straight up, the emotion is real. The pain is decades old and 50's reportedly sitting on hours of additional testimony that paints an even more detailed picture of September 7th, 1996. Psych was a __. Psych was an obvious Inglewood Village __, you know, and he hung around. Psych would be around other Crips. So that's how you know those gang connections run deeper than what made the Netflix cut. The Crips, the Bloods, Bad Boy, Death Row, it's all allegedly documented in those remaining hours. Suge knows what happened that night in Vegas. He was in the car. He survived while Tupac didn't. Puff and Suge had a conversation, music, behind the House of Blues about was we all right and Tupac was alive. That conversation behind the House of Blues while Tupac was still alive. If the war was real, why were the CEOs talking peacefully? Suge's version of what was said, what was agreed to, and what happened after could completely reframe how we understand the East Coast, West Coast narrative. 50's allegedly sitting on prison interview footage with Suze that never made the Netflix cut. Raw, unfiltered, potentially devastating. Well, it wasn't no East Coast war, bro. It wasn't no East Coast war. And I don't believe that Mark Curry know this for a fact. Kirk Burroughs knew Biggie wasn't supposed to leave New York. Big ain't going nowhere. He told people on Thursday. By Saturday, Biggie was dead in Los Angeles. The Netflix doc showed Burroughs' journals, his meticulous notes from inside Bad Boy, but only excerpts, only what fit into the 4-episode structure. 50's reportedly sitting on full journal scans. Complete records of conversations, decisions, and warnings that went unheeded. Wolf Jones was Bad Boy security from the beginning, one of Diddy's original financial backers. and he refused to go to LA without proper protection. Wolf had already told. Anthony Wolf Jones had already told him, if you're not taking two tour buses of my end from the Valley, that's Co-op City in the Bronx. The Valley in the Bronx. If you're not taking these two tour buses of my out there, I'm not going. When security says they need protection to do their job, and that protection is denied, consequences follow. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his __, and people they didn't even put that in the documentary. That accusation that Wolf ended up murdered because of Diddy's decisions is heavy. And if 50's got the full story, complete with testimony from people who were there, it could be explosive. Then there's the personal abuse. The allegations that went beyond professional misconduct into darker territory. I am just in trauma-based mode right now. I wake up ready to solve all the problems of the day, and I go to sleep, and I wake up and do it again. Aubrey Day's interview revealed the ongoing psychological toll. Years later, still processing, still trying to understand what happened to her. Yeah, they have incredible numbers. I first want to say the producer, Alex Stapleton, director Alex Stapleton. She is one of the most incredible women I have ever worked for. I think maybe as a woman, you'll understand the statement. The affidavit she read in the documentary described a witness seeing her unconscious while ACFA performed on her. She doesn't remember. She's not sure she wants to, but the testimony exists, documented and consistent. Do you believe Sean Combs assaulted you? This is how I've started to process this piece. That hesitation, that inability to fully confront what might have happened, it speaks to trauma deeper than public scandal. Before I answer that question, I want to tell you I forgive myself. That was a hard one because when you don't grow up getting approval or you're not loved properly in your childhood, you're ripe for the picking, especially if you've had hard parents. That moment of self,